Shout out to my amazing channel members, Lamar Overton and Gabby Arias. Your support means the world. Seriously.
Look, I'm so moved. I'm crying. Just kidding. That's my gem.
Aquamarine's gem shows how gem placement can manipulate perception. Her entire design is built to deceive, and her gem placement is the thread that pulls the whole illusion together. She debuted in the episode Are You My Dad? An episode that gave us that iconic meme where the gems try to draw Aquamarine based on the description Stephen gave of her. And no, it wasn't lapis they were drawing. I know some of you in the comments tried to argue otherwise when I posted it. It's wild how confidently people will dispute something they're not even sure about. But hey, that kind of sums up the internet and the world we live in, doesn't it?
And the gem was under her eye. Our right, her left. And the wings, and yeah.
I think I made one eye bigger than the other.
I was going for a feeling.
Honestly, I can't even draw a circle.
Okay, Garnet, you just drew yourself.
I like me.
Now, still on the topic of this meme, it actually validates everything we've been unpacking throughout the placement series. We said it from the beginning, chest placements lead with emotion. And what does Amethyst say about her drawing?
I was going for a feeling.
Then we've got Pearl with her gem on her forehead, hyper-analytical, intellectual. Honestly, I think her drawing was the most detailed of the three. But what does she do? She second-guesses herself, gets lost in her thoughts, overthinks, because that's what a forehead gem does. It aims for perfection and struggles with self-trust. And finally, Garnet, the one who found her identity in her palms. She delivers that iconic, grounded one-liner.
I like me.
That's it. That's the arc. From confusion and uncertainty to complete self-acceptance. It also shows the bluntness of the palm placements. 3 drawings, 3 gem placements, 3 personalities, all echoing what we've been saying since episode 1. There's something unnervingly calculated about Aquamarine the moment she enters the scene. With her small stature, high-pitched voice and oversized blue bow, she looks like someone who should be clutching a stuffed animal, not a wand capable of pinning Alexandrite like an insect to a board. Nestled just beneath her eye, shaped like a perfectly sculpted tear, is her gem. Her gem placement gives the appearance of a perpetual state of weeping. It's subtle but deliberate, making her resemble a lost child, constantly on the verge of tears. We don't just see a small girl, we're visually tricked into feeling protective over her. There's an instinct there, baked into us, to soften towards someone who seems vulnerable, confused, even scared. But with Aquamarine, that softness is a trap, because behind that gem-crafted tear is one of Homeworld's most efficient, manipulative operatives. She may be small, but she is by no means helpless. She's a bounty hunter, plain and simple, cold, clinical, and equipped with one of the most dangerous weapons we've seen a non-fusion carry. While other gems flex brute force, Aquamarine's power lies in presentation. She weaponizes underestimation, and the show gives us one of the best bait-and-switch moments to prove it. When she first appears, she says something that immediately disarms both the characters and the audience.
Are you my dad? I need to find my dad.
No, I'm not.
There's a beat of empathy. A little girl, lost. Is she looking for her father? Is she scared? No, she's looking for my dad, as in the subject of her bounty list, Greg Universe.
6 human variations specified in a report by Peridot 5XG.
Oh no, there's lots of humans. There's my dad, Connie, Lars and Sadie, the mailman, Onion, I think. The list.
She has no dad. She doesn't even understand the concept. What she may understand, on the other hand, is how to use those words to evoke sympathy, to lower your guard. Her tone may be airy and curious, but what she's doing is checking names off a state-sanctioned hit list. Her gem is in fact a crocodile tear, a mimicry of sorrow to mask something sinister. Crocodile tears are the epitome of false empathy. They're the performative sadness of manipulators, liars and tyrants who want you to trust them just long enough for them to strike. Aquamarine is the literal embodiment of this concept. Her tears aren't real, but they're effective. We see this faux, innocent little girl archetype in characters like Princess Morbucks, Susie Johnson, Child Angelica. Princess Morbucks is this spoiled daddy's girl who throws world-class tantrums when things don't go her way. She wants to join the Powerpuff Girls, but not because she cares about saving people. She just wants to be put on a pedestal and worshipped as a hero. It's all about her public image. When the girls reject her, Princess goes absolutely nuclear. We're talking rocket launchers, gold-plated death robots, the works. She'll literally try to murder 3 little girls because they won't let her in their club. Her father, bless him, has no clue about any of this. To him, she still is sweet, innocent little princess who just wants to help people, and she milks that facade for everything it's worth, getting as much money as she wants to fund her revenge schemes. Daddy's money, Daddy's little angel, except she's using both to commit actual terrorism. As for Susie, she's the crazy little sister who loves her brother Jeremy and wants Candace as far away from him as possible. So what does she do? She sabotages Candace at every turn, knowing damn well that no one would believe a sweet, innocent toddler could cause the kind of havoc she creates. And what's Candace supposed to do about it? Tell her boyfriend that his little sister is evil incarnate? Susie's got the perfect cover and she knows it. Even pure forces of chaos understand this game. Childs, an ancient, reality-warping entity of pure malice, deliberately chose to appear as a young girl in a school uniform. Why? Because that innocent little girl facade lets her get away with murder, literally. She can dissect a grown man like he's a frog in biology class, and people's first instinct is still to see a scared little girl who needs protection. It's the perfect disguise for something that exists solely to cause suffering. Angelica bullies the hell out of the other kids, terrorizing babies who can't even walk yet, making them cry, stealing their toys, crushing their dreams. But the second an adult walks in, she turns on the syrupy voice and big doe eyes like she's starring in a toothpaste commercial, and it works every single time. Human empathy is both our greatest strength and our most exploitable weakness. Finn couldn't kill the dimple plant because it looked innocent. Marceline seemed like the villain for asking him to destroy something so harmless, but that cute little plant was hiding a monstrous beast underneath, ready to devour everything in sight. Finn falls into this same trap with Penny from the City of Thieves episode. He sees what appears to be an innocent little girl and gets conned into stealing. Our instinct to protect those who seem vulnerable becomes the very thing that puts us in danger. We've all heard the warnings. Don't open the door for strangers. Don't pick up hitchhikers. A person in distress might genuinely need help, or they might be setting a trap to rob or kill you. It's a 50-50 chance that could cost you everything. The question remains, should the fear of being exploited stop you from helping others? That's up to you. That's the cost of empathy. High reward, high risk. And speaking of traps, in Arcane, Jinx uses that same playbook. She mimics a child in distress crying out for help. The enforcers hear it, and as expected, they rush in to save a little girl stuck in a fire. I mean, it is their job to protect the citizens, and just like that, they're dead, killed by their own empathy. The literal greatest earthbender in the world turns out to be a blind 12-year-old girl. Her parents see her as helpless, keeping her locked away like fragile porcelain. Her opponents laugh in her face, completely underestimating what they're dealing with. That delicate appearance becomes her greatest weapon. While everyone's busy pitying the poor blind child, she's reading their every move through vibrations in the earth. They see weakness where there's actually overwhelming power. Her opponents walk into the ring thinking they're facing an easy target, only to get absolutely demolished by someone who can sense their attacks before they even make them. The irony is beautiful. Everyone thinks they need to protect Toph when she's actually the most dangerous person in most rooms she enters. Her parents' overprotectiveness and her opponent's dismissiveness both stem from the same fatal assumption that someone who looks helpless must actually be helpless. This concept isn't just human. In Made in Abyss, there are these horrific bird-like predators called corpse sweepers that haunt the second layer of the abyss. They mimic the cries of their last victim, literally replaying the voice of a dying child to lure in others. Other children, other humans. It's biological deception. Evolution turned empathy into bait. Aquamarine's entire design is built to disarm emotionally, while her powers do the same physically. So when we talk about gem placement and identity, Aquamarine is a case study in weaponized perception. Her under-eye gem transcends being just a design quirk. It's a statement. Sometimes the things that seem weakest are the most dangerous. Sometimes a single sculpted tear is a mask for malice. But there's one moment that threw everything off. When Topaz turns on her, corners her, we brace for the worst. We've seen how vindictive Aquamarine can be, but instead, she forgives her. She promises never to speak of it again. Her voice changes. Her face drops the bratty act. She speaks like a calm, measured commander. And just like that, we're left wondering, was that spoiled little girl persona all fake? Was it a tool, a performance for the mission? That ties directly into what we talked about back in part 2 of the placement series. Cheek gems are tied to masks. Characters with them often perform their emotions, wear exaggerated expressions, or hide behind personas. The tear on her cheek, It's like those ancient Greek clown masks used in theatre, the ones meant to embody a single, fixed emotion. She also follows another possible symbolism of the cheek placement, turning the other cheek. She forgives Topaz. She's even open to negotiating with Steven, offering a trade instead of following her original orders. Her character goes beyond the spoiled brat persona. She's a strategist, putting on a different mask for what the job requires. Ear gem placement ties directly to themes of obedience and passive submission. The ears are the organs of listening and receiving orders. They follow commands rather than acting on their own will. Topaz is a fusion that exists to obey. She doesn't question her orders and only acts as an enforcer of her superior's will. Lars makes a comment about her looking like she's wearing headphones, and he's spot on. Not only does it physically look like she's wearing headphones, but she also acts like it. She appears stoic and uninterested in the things happening around her, almost like she can't hear it happening. But that's not the case at all. If anything, her hearing and decoding surpasses that of other gems. Let's break it down. At first glance, you would think that a gemstone replacing the anatomical position of a sense organ would be deleterious, making them lose function, but actually the reverse is the case. If anything, it heightens it. Take a look at the eye gem placements from Part 3 like Eyeball and Emerald. You would think their gem replacing their second eye would make their vision less functional, but no, it significantly improves it, as they are the designated gems for piloting, reconnaissance and tracking. All this to say that Topaz isn't oblivious to the things around her. She chooses to only engage with the commands of her superior. That was until she listens in on Lars and Steven's conversation, and it makes enough of an impact in her for her to physically confront Aquamarine. Characters with this placement are extremely privy to what is happening around them because of their keen sense of hearing, but do not necessarily take action on what they know. Topaz absorbs everything around her, but rarely expresses her thoughts. She suppresses her emotions and identity, acting more as a tool than an individual. Ears are our primary organs of reception. We hear before we speak. We listen before we act. As we've established, a gem placed at the ear suggests someone whose identity is fundamentally shaped by what they receive from others rather than what they generate themselves. If you walk through social media feeds, tune into news cycles, or sit in on casual conversations, you may notice a disturbing pattern: recycled opinions, repeated talking points, and a startling inability to defend beliefs when questioned beyond surface level. These are our society's ear gems, individuals who have surrendered their capacity for independent thought. They hear the dominant narrative and accept it wholesale. They listen to the loudest voices and mistake volume for truth. What makes this particularly insidious is how it operates. Just as ear gems in the show display unwavering loyalty, even when faced with obvious contradictions, modern ear gems exhibit the same pattern. They absorb information passively rather than actively analyzing it. Even when these individuals sense something isn't right, when the cognitive dissonance becomes too strong to ignore, they fall back in line. The social pressure to conform, to avoid the discomfort of standing alone with an unpopular truth, proves stronger than their conscience. The most heartbreaking aspect isn't that these people are incapable of independent thought. It's that they've chosen to abandon it. They've traded the difficult work of critical thinking for the comfort of belonging to the herd. The question isn't whether you recognize this pattern in others, it's whether you have the courage to examine where it might exist in yourself. Holly Blue Agate is the picture of authority painted in cold colors and clipped tones. Every word she speaks feels rehearsed, sharpened. Every movement is refined like a drill. The spot her gem is placed on corresponds to the occipital lobe in human anatomy, the part of the brain responsible for visual processing, spatial orientation, and recognition of color and light, all of which carry immense symbolic weight when applied to a species whose very forms are crafted from light and color. So what does it mean that Holly Blue's gem, the very thing that defines her identity and essence, sits right there? She's a gem who is hyper-aware of appearances, obsessed with visual hierarchy. The subtle tilt of a pearl's head, the posture of a sapphire, the uniformity of amethysts, these things matter to her. She notices them. She reads them like language. Her mind is a surveillance system. She processes visual cues and body language like data points, using them to enforce discipline and reinforce her belief in the rigid structures of gem society. And yet, paradoxically, that same placement could imply a kind of oblivion to what truly matters. She sees what is on the surface, status symbols, uniforms, roles, but remains blind to what lies beneath. She perceives form, but not soul, function, but not intent. It's no coincidence that when Sapphire and the others disrupt her neatly ordered world, she can't comprehend it. She can see rebellion, but not understand it. It doesn't compute, because her gem, her anchor, processes the world visually, but not emotionally. She's all structure and symmetry, unable to perceive the chaos of feeling, the rebellion of empathy. Gems are made of light, their forms dictated by projection and perception. Holly Blue then isn't just a controller of physical spaces, she's a controller of perception itself. She curates how things appear, how they align, how they conform. In her mind, the world should be arranged just so, the perfect lineup, perfect performance. Deviations are sloppy. They offend her worldview because they break the spatial harmony she's wired to maintain. Which brings us to spatial awareness, another function of the occipital lobe. Holly Blue navigates the zoo with the mechanical grace of someone who knows every inch of it. She exists in relation to her surroundings, using her knowledge of the space to assert control. She doesn't adapt to others, she expects them to adapt to her architecture. While her gem is positioned in a place of perception, she remains perceptually limited. What she sees, she believes. What doesn't fit, she disregards. A perfect metaphor for a gem who upholds an empire built on illusion. In a way, her gem is the prison tower's eye, watching everything, processing the scene, but never truly connecting with it. Always above, always outside, always looking, but never seeing. And that perhaps is Holly Blue Agate's greatest flaw. Not her cruelty, not her superiority complex, but her fundamental misreading of the world, rooted in a mind trained to process light, not truth. Even as the diamonds turn a new leaf and dismantle the hierarchy, burdens her. She can't move on from how things should be, ideally. Perhaps this could be the premise of a reverse rebellion. Gems like her, who need order, who yearn for the hierarchy to be reinstated, may come together. Hold up! Before we go any further, you're still watching, but you're not subscribed? Bold of you. A true rebel. I respect it. Look, I get it. Commitment is scary, but this is literally the easiest relationship you'll ever be in. You click a button, I make videos, we're both happy. No anniversary dates to remember, no awkward family dinners. I'm committed to bringing you the best content I can, but I need to know you're committed too. How? It's simple. Smash that subscribe button. Now we've spoken about both aquamarine and eyeball, so it's only right we talk about bluebird azurite. On the surface, a cute, spunky little fusion, but look a little deep, and her gem placement is quietly one of the most artistically sinister in the show. Aquamarine's teardrop gem and eyeball's literal eye gem. What you get is a gem tear falling from a gem eye. It's theatrical, beautiful, purposeful. It gives Bluebird the look of someone perpetually weeping, a childlike, manipulative sorrow. This is the embodiment of crocodile tears, emotional displays used to mask true intent, face that screams, "help me," while her actions scream sabotage. But the eye also watches, it surveys, it waits. It knows when to strike and when to hide. Bluebird's whole existence is an illusion designed to destabilize Stephen, not just physically, but mentally. She plants just enough doubt to make him question himself. She creates chaos and mischief, but she's always one step ahead, vanishing before she can be caught, because she sees it coming. The fusion of emotional manipulation and vigilant awareness makes her the ultimate gaslighter. It's like Phineas and Ferb if they were intentionally getting rid of their inventions, and Candace is Stephen in this scenario. But then Bluebird gets serious and comes for Stephen directly. They finally have "my dad," and then Alexandrite gets her lick back. That's the thing about her. She's not one to play when it comes to Stephen. Alexandrite is the collective will of the crystal gems to protect him. She isn't just a fusion of their bodies, but of their instincts. All their maternal drives activated at once. She exists because they love him, because they agree, despite everything, that he's worth fusing for. They're wildly different individuals. Their gem placements alone tell you that. The headstrong chest gem of amethyst, Pearl's focused forehead, Garnet's grounded palms. They clash. They don't gel as seamlessly as other fusions like opal or sardonyx. You feel it, you hear it, literally. Sometimes their individual voices leak through, just like with malachite, where jasper and lapis both echo inside one unstable body.
What are you doing? I'm hungry!
I don't think so.
Cut it out, you two!
Alexandrite isn't seamless. She doesn't always feel like a new person. Sometimes she feels more like the gems stacked in a trench coat, trying their best. That's what makes her interesting. Opal, Sugilite, Sardonyx. They feel like someone new, a fresh voice, a signature weapon, a whole new personality born from perfect synergy. But Alexandrite, she's rough around the edges. Not a flawless fusion, but a powerful one. She shows up when it matters, even in situations where fusion may be overkill like dinner with Connie's parents, because it's Stephen. Because if that's what he wants, they'll hold it together, even if it's awkward. Over time, they get better, they face things together, they grow, and with each shared crisis, they sink a little more. They integrate those contrasting gem placements into something that holds. Pearl's logic clashes with Amethyst's wildness often, while Garnet tries to keep them in check. Garnet, always the stable center, brings order to the fusion, just like she does when they're separate. You see it in battle too. When things get serious, Alexandrite becomes more than the sum of her parts. And in that way, Alexandrite isn't just Stephen's protector. She's a reflection of what Stephen means to each of them and what they're willing to become for him. Obsidian is Stephen's way of saying, hey, I want to protect you too. I'm a crystal gem. I can fight beside you. He becomes the seal, the glue, the stabilizing force that turns the once fractured Alexandrite into something whole, something stable. Obsidian is the sacred geometry of wholeness. She radiates the presence of an ancient deity, forged from every thread in crystal gem history, a force of nature. Her gem placements reflect that balance, the union of chaos and calm, of wisdom and power. 5 placements: forehead, chest, left palm, right palm, navel. The 5 corners of a sacred map connected by veins of lava, each representing a different dimension of being. The palms are tools of action, instruments of creation and destruction. The forehead is the place of vision and strategy. The chest, the emotional intensity of her fusion. She roars in divine rage. She is the collected will of the crystal gems to protect the ones they love. The navel gem roots her, the center of the body, the point of origin, the umbilical cord to humanity, to compassion, to life. In Stephen's case, it's the tether between his mother's legacy and his own. That placement represents a willingness to give birth to change, to carry the burdens of generations and still push forward. In Obsidian, every piece of the crystal gems finds its place, not in dominance, not in competition, but in communion. She is the visual manifestation of balance, a terrifyingly beautiful answer to the question, what if everything that made us different was meant to fit together? She is a goddess born from unity. Her placements are symbolic, otherworldly, the balance that ties everything together. And while we're on the topic of Stephen fusions, let's talk briefly about Stevoni and Steg. What happens when Stephen fuses with humans? Unlike gems, humans don't have physical gem placements to symbolize their essence, but their personalities still shape the fusion. Stevoni carries Connie's sharp, calculated, academic mindset, combined with Stephen's softness and inner light. Steg, on the other hand, incorporates Greg's rockstar soul, laid back, bold, musical, free. Human fusions with Stephen don't come from alignment of gemstones. They come from emotional trust, a connection strong enough to bend the laws of biology. And concerning the GemOC submissions, a huge thank you to everyone who submitted. The creativity, the lore, the interpretations, absolutely incredible. The talent you all brought to the table made it less tasking going through the different submissions one by one. Thank you to my Discord mods for all assisting in the process. I'll be announcing some of my favourites in the next part. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like, share it with a fellow animation enthusiast, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Take care of yourself, and as always, see you in the next one.